Neutral. Oh, it's Cloud. Oh, it's Ice. New Cloud exclusive weapon that increases magic attack when attacking and... Oh. Interesting. All right, so first things first, let's jump into the aesthetics. Take a peek. This is a, what an interesting design, honestly. Got kind of like the Shinra armor thing going on, but with ripped blue jeans. Lots of belts, true. Multiple belts. Got some chains. A fanny pack. Got some cool rings. Absolutely. 100%. All the belts in the center too. This one looks like a seat belt. Yeah. Got some stuff going on. What is that? Are those Japanese symbols? I'm looking at that like I can read that. Interesting. Nothing on the other side though. I love the coloration on the sword. That's pretty dope. That's pretty cool, right? Got kind of a, oh, it's a Seventh Heaven jacket. That's dope. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. All right, let's take a peek. Ooh, this is gonna be 1120. This is gonna be really good. Let's do OB10. Yep. And who could have seen this coming? All right, so it is 1120% magic ice, so it is magic. Also, magic attack is increased mid to high. When hitting target's weakness, magic defense is decreased mid to high. Wow. Magic ability or magic boost, circle sigil slot, 4639, not bad. All right, so on paper, this is great. Obviously, this is one of the best magic ice weapons in the game. If not the best. It's close with Vincent's, right? Vincent's is really good because Vincent's makes them weak to ice, which is also something. But this one not only does I'm going to keep referring to this as like a meta equivalent amount of damage, right? Because right now, anything that's above 1100% in elemental damage is around the standard, right? So this is the current standard for elemental damage, is above 1100%. But while he's dealing an expected amount of damage, he's also increasing by himself his own magic attack, while also decreasing the enemy's magic defense, assuming they're weak to ice. This by itself, if it was just this at the top, would make this one of the best weapons in the game. The fact that he's also able to lower the target's magic defense by himself, so he's buffing and debuffing at the same time, is fantastic. The only thing that this weapon and this build's going to run into is the same thing that the wind damage weapon ran into, right? Is that there are not a lot of great sub-weapons for Cloud, or not sub-weapons, offhand weapons for Cloud to run with magic-focused builds, right? That said, I'm assuming, because this is his second straight magic weapon, that that's going to change. And for ice specifically, if you do have his lock sword, that's a great offhand weapon, right? I tend to try to avoid like including limited weapons with featured banners, because then not everybody's going to have access to the lock sword. And frankly, if you're pulling on this banner, you probably either already have the lock sword from November when you played the Final Fantasy VI event to begin with, or you didn't pull on the Final Fantasy VI banner and you've got crystals to pull on this, right? But if that's the case, you might not have the weapon, right? So like the lock sword is great for this because the lock sword is 3 ATB, gets your ice potency maxed out, and now Cloud by himself can buff his magic attack to full as well, while also debuffing the enemy's magic defense down to high, right? Which means that he can solo Like, he doesn't need help. He just needs someone to heal him, basically. He does everything else himself. The only thing he doesn't have access to is exploit weakness, which Yuffie's featured weapon actually solves for him as well. So yeah, no, this is great. This is great. I think, again, the only real downside is that Cloud doesn't have a lot of weapons in his kit that are great as offhand options for magic focused builds. The only featured weapon that is really necessarily something I would say is like good, quote unquote, would be the Mystic or the Mystic Sword, right? The one that does the physical and magic attack down, because it also does attack and ability potency just like the Lock Sword does, which makes it very, very useful for both physical and magic builds, right? The only other weapon in his kit besides the Holiday Blade that gives him magic attack is the Mithril Saber, which does magic attack and I think crit potency, which is not useful for this, right? It's not going to increase his damage at all. So that's not necessarily a great option either. So he doesn't have it, like I said, he doesn't have a lot of options, so it's not necessarily a great thing. And if this was a limited banner, I would tell you that sucks. And you'd probably want to avoid this because you're going to be able to get a more efficient pull on a more well-rounded character on any of the other banners that are out right now. Or, I mean, even Cloud in the future if it's a physical focused weapon, right? The difference is this is a featured banner, which means this weapon is going into the pool of weapons for Cloud, which changes the conversation entirely, because now I don't care if this is efficient for Cloud right now. I'm going to get this over time anyway, and by the time I want to use this, it probably will be efficient for Cloud. So the only thing I care about in this banner at this point, because this weapon's great, there's no doubt about it. This weapon's fantastic. Like, efficiency aside for making an ice magic damage character, this weapon is awesome, right? It's absolutely fantastic. Not drawing anything away from that. What it's going to come down to is his outfit. And it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It is a 15% physical and magic defense, and it's also a 50% ice damage outfit with 15% HP. This is great. This is great. This is obviously damage focused, and very damage forward, which is what Cloud does. That's just Cloud's role. Cloud does damage. This is obviously very, very strong. It's only slightly weaker than Yuffie's, and by slightly weaker, I mean it's like 8% weaker than Yuffie's. But these two self-fulfilling buffs and debuffs, right, are very helpful. And it helps also, by the way, in the sense that your support characters now no longer need to bring not magic attack up specifically, but magic defense down, right? Because this doesn't solve your entire team getting magic attack. If Cloud's your only DPS, that's great, right? Then you're good to go. You don't need magic attack up necessarily, because although your supports and your healers typically do need to do damage, we've gotten to points in the game now where we can clear a lot of content without our supports and our healers doing as much damage as we used to, right? Point is, outfit's very, very good. If you don't have an Arcanum, this is not a bad one to pull for. I will tell you that in terms of just raw power and how much value it adds to the game, I do think that Yuffie's is slightly better right now today. Do I think it's going to be that way going forward? Absolutely not. They have been very forward and very upfront about how they want Cloud to be a better DPS than he has been. And so, like, this is going to be a good outfit for Cloud going forward, and they will continue giving him tools to make him a stronger DPS moving forward. All of that said, as it stands today, if you ask me which one I would pull for between this one and Yuffie's, I would still be pulling for Yuffie's. I think that Yuffie's utility with the rocker guitar is infinitely more useful at a low overboost than this one's going to be. And it would require too much investment of your crystals to get this to a high overboost right now for it to even be relevant, right? This will be good in the future, and this outfit is very good, like very, very good in the future as well. And the outfit is great. And if you wanted to pull for the outfit, I totally get it. Totally get it. But I don't think that this is going to add so much value to your team today versus someone like Yuffie, who you've probably had, already been pulling for with her Little Red Wreath, which is just as strong as this weapon, right? So if you have something like, say, Crimson Staff, Aerith's weapon that was released in January, that does a full team-wide magic attack buff and an enemy-wide magic defense debuff, right? Yuffie is doing just as much damage as Cloud, and those extra effects mean nothing, right? They mean absolutely nothing. Because Cloud's magic defense down is just single target, right? Which is great for most of the content in this game. But there are fights where we do need to have magic defense down for the entire enemy team. And in those cases, you probably want Crimson Staff, right? Or if you're running 2 DPSs, you probably want Crimson Staff because that other character is going to need magic defense or magic attack up. So in that case, those extra abilities, while they're very, very good, they're not useful in that circumstance, right? So it's definitely a situational banner, and this is a little less like, boom, here's value, right? All of this said, I am nitpicking, right? This is a 9.5 out of 10 kind of outfit that, like, you can convince me this is great to pull on if you don't have an Ice Arcanum, right? I totally understand it. And this is another one where I'm just like, hey, if you like the outfit, just pull for it, right? Just pull for it if you can get there. I usually don't like to pull on a banner unless I have around 24 to 30,000 crystals, because that usually guarantees me the outfit. So I would hang tight if you're anywhere less than that, just to be on the safe side, because we don't know how much resources we're going to get over the next couple of weeks. And so you don't want to like get to 11 out of 12, miss the outfit and be sad, right? Because this weapon's going in the main pool. You don't have to think about it too hard. You're going to get this to OB10 in the future, right? In terms of the wish list, like I said, Cloud doesn't have a whole lot of options for his offhand weapon that I would include on the wish list besides the Mystic Sword. Again, this is just a generic physical and magic attack because it's a split, right? With the 62 attack and the 39 ability potency. But again, like the only other weapon that he has that does magic attack, oh, it is ability potency. I was mistaken. I'm sorry. I thought it was crit potency. So this is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. This is just fine. Mithril Saber is. If you've got this at OB10, this is a fine offhand weapon. I was mistaken. I'll fix that and post edit too. It was Iron Blade that I was thinking of that had crit potency. Sorry. But yeah, so that's another good one. That's a great offhand weapon. Actually, you know what? I didn't even consider his enhanced sword, which is attack and ice potency. This is actually a great offhand weapon for his magic build. This is a great offhand weapon for his magic build. If you've got enhanced sword at OB10, this is excellent to have as an offhand weapon. So yeah, I think any of those 3 weapons is probably pretty good. I would include the Mystic Sword and the enhanced sword if you don't have this at OB10, just because both of those are really good offhand weapons. Obviously, if you're looking for a more ice-focused build, this is pretty great. If you need Cloud to help with some more debuffing, and he's not your main DPS, you could bring in the Mystic Sword for magic attack and physical attack debuffs, which is pretty good, right? Makes him pretty useful in that fight. Makes him kind of the support character at that point, right? Because now Cloud can lower magic defense, lower magic attack, and lower physical attack, which is great. In terms of the sub weapons, it's going to depend on whether or not you're using Cloud as a main DPS and what you're holding in the offhand. If you're using a boost attack option like I'm recommending here, the first thing that I would recommend for ice potency is always Cath Palug. Cath Palug is a very, very good ice weapon. That I didn't mean to change that, sorry. It's a very good ice weapon that's got a very high magic attack stat, while also giving the remaining magic attack points that you're looking for, and 26 ice potency, which is great. If you're rocking with the enhanced sword and the offhand already, you're going to be sitting around 58 points of ice potency, and that extra 26 is going to push you all the way up, get you up to this 110% break, which is a bit higher than normal, which is good. And obviously that's very, very useful for getting an extra 10% magic damage. After that, you're looking for magic ability potency. There are a couple of options here. Again, we're looking for specifically magic ability potency that is not magic attack, right? There are very, very few that actually have that option. One is the SP Rapier at Next G for Matt. What a mouthful. This one is more defensive focused, but it does give 26 points of the boost magic ability potency in the offhand, or in the sub weapon slot, which is great. I believe it is Kate Sith's. Yep, Kate Sith's Crystal Megaphone does attack and magic ability potency, which is also very good. Vincent also has a couple of options, but the one that I'd be looking at would be the Sawed Off GS, which also does boost attack and 52 points of magic ability potency, which is great. And then obviously the last one, it would be the Power Soul for Tifa, which does HP and magic ability potency. There have also been a bunch of event weapons as well. So if that floats your fancy, that's another route that you can go as well, just to give him a little bit more defensive capabilities, because right now he has no boost HP outside of his outfit. All in all, though, this is a pretty cut and dry banner. I don't think you have to think too hard about it. I think it's mostly just, if you want Cloud to be your main ice DPS, that's a great way to do it. I do think personally that I value Yuffie's a little bit higher, just because again, I think that her Rocker's guitar gives more value to your team today versus in the future. And she can use this Ice Arcanum outfit just as well as Cloud can, right? Do I think that Cloud will be able to better utilize this in the future? And do I think that he can get to higher maximums because he's got an offhand weapon that's got boost attack instead of, you know, a boost attack and ice potency? Yeah, he can, for sure. But like Yuffie's got a lot of ice potency options for her offhand weapons as well, right? So I'm not really concerned about it. I do think that Yuffie's is a little bit more valuable as of today, but Cloud's is definitely the more offensively focused, for sure. It's interesting, man. It's interesting. I don't think I'd recommend pulling on this banner necessarily, just because again, I think that this this weapon is strong enough on its own that I don't really feel the need to pull for the Ice Arcanum. And for me personally, I actually have an Ice Arcanum with Cloud already, and I don't mind using the 35% outfit and missing out on the extra 15% damage and just using the magic. Like I know I've got some like useless 5 physical attack on that outfit, but it's still a 35% damage boost, and I think that's fine, right? Yeah, I think that's where I sit. It's a great banner though. Another great featured banner, man. Like that's just like they're knocking it out of the park with the featured stuff.